Next, we have Susanna Elliott from Alltech, and I want to thank Susanna. I texted her yesterday asking if she could join after we had a bit of a shuffle on the panel, and she gladly accepted. Susanna Elliott leads global marketing at Alltech, using data-driven insights and compelling storytelling to advance its Planet of Plenty mission. A specialist in executive communications and brand strategy, she has helped guide the company through pivotal moments and produce its first full-length documentary, World Without Cows. With a background in public relations and crisis management, she has supported Alltech's visibility and growth on the global stage since 2008.
Thank you so much, Joe, and it is a privilege, a pleasure to be here and to see such a packed room that when I came in yesterday, I couldn't even find a seat. Even more awesome to see a communications panel here because our business has been actively involved in supporting the Clear Center for a number of years now, and key to that is the fact that it's not only sound science, it is clear and effective communications. And I hope you all took notice yesterday even when we're seeing a number of the graduates of UC Davis and the Clear Center ending up in very pivotal roles across the industry. It's truly phenomenal, and so I give them kudos for their work. I'm going to be taking a very different slice at this conversation and actually stepping back even before we get into the discussion about acceptance of methane-reducing technologies. We're going to talk a little bit about the disconnect between conversations about cows and our planet and what we have been doing in that space. Oh my goodness, I've seen so many go backwards. I feel like I've already won a bit just by going forward. And so we're going to talk a little bit about our documentary, World Without Cows. And I do need to tell you a little bit of backstory because every great movie has a backstory, right? And for ours, in the business of Alltech, we were founded by a scientist who is just as much a storyteller. I guess that's what happens when you come from Ireland. It's in a bit of your DNA. And early on, he committed our business to what he called the ACE principle, which meant that everything that we did, primarily the production of feed ingredients, served the safety and benefit of the animal, the consumer, and the environment, and that all three always had to be in balance. And that has now moved forward into the second generation with his son, Dr. Mark Lyons, who has moved that into a vision of working together for a planet of plenty. And that vision is firmly rooted in the idea and the firm belief that agriculture has the greatest potential impact on the future of our planet. And that's through a variety of ways, because it's not only about producing enough food, it's about producing enough nutrition for all. It's about economies throughout the world and the livelihoods of millions that depend on agriculture, and specifically ruminant livestock agriculture. And then it's also the fact that agriculture is not only in a position to conserve resources as any industry could, but we have the ability to replenish and enhance those resources, especially when you think about the value of land that has cattle grazing on it and what that does to the soil ecosystem. And this is a critical moment. It is the most important time within agriculture. So not only do we have an industry that is fundamental to the future of our planet, but it's the most critical time within that industry. And yet there is so much noise, salacious headlines, misinformation. Most of the time people are only reading those headlines, and they're further from the farm than they have ever been. And as a communicator, that's incredibly frustrating to me that I have been sent for decades now, story after story after story saying, Susanna, how are we going to respond to this? And I'm tired of responding because you know what? People don't read it. They've already read the headline, they've moved on, and you're constantly chasing your tails. And for us, the real tipping point was Super Bowl 2021. My phone lit up when this commercial came on. It was the CEO of Oatly who sat down at a keyboard and sang in the middle of a field about how wonderful the world would be if there were no cows. And our CEO was fired up. He said, enough is enough. And so the next day, We talked to two of our team members who are journalists. They came from careers in journalists. Brandon Whitworth had worked for several networks. Michelle Michael had served in combat journalism throughout the world. And we said, you have a new mission. And that mission is to answer the question, are we better off in a world without cows? And so the next 3.5 years, they spent traveling throughout the world, visiting more than 40 locations around the world, talking to those on the front lines, farmers, ranchers, human nutritionists, economists, Frank, Sarah. We have several folks here in the room that they spoke to. And they explored, are we better off in a world without cows? What would that mean economically, culturally, socially, environmentally, nutritionally? And you can see here there's 3 main buckets in which most of those conversations tied back to. And I'm going to give you a preview here now.
The fabric of nature hangs in the balance. Because our planet is under threat, and one creature is at the center of it all.
Every day between now and 2050, it gets harder to feed the world.
We have had the mantra pounded into us, you gotta produce more, you gotta feed the world.
If we keep eating animal products on this scale, climate change continues to be exacerbated.
Many people would say cows are the worst thing in the world for the climate.
People say, let's just get rid of livestock and grow crops instead. That's not possible.
We're really missing the bigger picture.
In a world without cows, we may be giving up one of our best tools to help heal the planet.
If we want to truly mitigate climate change, we need animals on the landscape. How do we pull that carbon out of the atmosphere and put it back into the soil? That's where livestock come in.
Agriculture holds the key to saving our planet.
What really happens if you take all the cows away?
Are we better off in a world without cows?
And so we completed the documentary in August this past year. It has since been translated into 19 different languages, fully dubbed into Spanish as well. We're in the process of applying to a variety of film festivals. You can see the acceptances right there. And for me, a particular pinch me moment was its acceptance and its play at the Beverly Hills Film Festival. Hopefully you recognize right there, Mann's Chinese Theater. That is where all the stars show up for the Oscars, and to have World Without Cows, a discussion about cows and our climate, showing up there in a place that typically would not welcome this conversation is huge. It's a huge moment. And in fact, today, just as I was getting ready to come up here and speak, I was getting photos from it being played today at the European Parliament in Brussels to a packed house of MEPs. And already we're receiving requests that it then plays in front of other country delegations. And that, for us, is incredibly exciting to have this conversation coming to the forefront. And the responses have been amazing. Everything from farmers saying, thank you for giving us a platform to tell our stories, and I no longer feel alone in this fight, to very unlikely audiences who would be typically very opposed to cows, and instead they're finding common ground and finding some elements that they can agree with in this discussion. And that is the point for us. It's to broaden the conversation, to widen the lens on the conversation we're having about cows, and to also think through sometimes the unintended consequences of well-meaning decisions, and to think bigger around that. And for us, this has to be grounded in the science and in the facts. And so alongside the documentary documentary, we share all of the facts from the film on the website and are building out the website as a resource for those who are looking for answers, who have the questions. And frankly, I want journalists to come find this site and find this information before they even write a story in the first place. That is our effort, and that's the effort that we hope lives well beyond the documentary itself. And this is critically important because we live in a time where people ask, what is truth? Every year, I follow Edelman. It's a major PR firm, and they release in January the results of their Edelman Trust Barometer. They have measured for decades the public's trust. And they do it in October, November. They survey 30,000 individuals in 28 countries. And for a number of years, they have watched that trust fall off a cliff. And you can see here, just even more traditionally trusted in the past groups, that there's just this continued erosion of trust happening, and it's happening at significant levels where they feel that they are purposely being misled. And that sense of being purposely misled is leading to a sense of grievance. And that sense of grievance is leading to individuals who say that they would approve of hostile activism. 4 out of 10 would see that as a means of achieving a more favorable future. And what scares me the most is that 1 out of every 2 of ages 18 through 34-year-olds would approve of hostile activism. And if you read the bullets here, it says that they would purposely spread misinformation, that they would resort to violence because they feel they're living in an environment that they're very frustrated with, where they don't have a sense of trust. And so that is the environment in which we're having these conversations. But there is some hope in this, and that they look specifically at different sectors, and you can see here that trust in the agri-food, kind of throughout all different points of the chain, is actually rising. And it's rising across individual countries as well. And so that should, I think, put some pep in our steps, some wind in our sails, give us some courage in speaking out and sharing those stories from the front lines of agriculture. And so just as I close, I encourage you to join us in this journey around World Without Cows. Producing a documentary, especially doing it for the first time ever, is a major undertaking. Getting it out there is an even bigger undertaking. But we have already seen the benefits and the fruits of that experience, and have actually formed a new entity that we're calling Planet of Plenty that is totally devoted to ongoing science-based storytelling and advocacy. And I'd love for you to join us in being a part of that, because there is strength in working together in that and continuing to build out resources as well that can be used with policymakers, with journalists, and others. And so thank you so much. Appreciate it.